We're in the middle of restoring a 1960 or a 1961 Firestone 2 horsepower, and the model number is a 10-A-130. And if you are familiar with the vintage engines, you probably recognize the hood. This is basically essentially the same engine as the Elgins built right up until the end of the 1950s, built by West Bend. West Bend sold it as the West Bend Shrimp. Sears sold it as the Elgin. And in the last 2 years, 60, 61, I think that these engines were produced. Firestone picked up this model engine to produce and put their brand on it. Before that, they were selling a model of a Scott Atwater. So I'm down to trying to get the flywheel off the engine block, and I can't use the puller just yet because when they manufactured these flywheels, the machinist was probably a little bit lazy that day and never threaded the extraction holes. So that's my first task for today, is to do that. So the hole even still needs to be drilled out a bit just to accept the tap for a 1/4 inch bolt. So first thing I need to do is set up a drill press to get the hole to the exact right size, and then tap it. So I'm going to get the drill press set up because I really don't want to drill these by hand in case I mess it up, because I really only have one shot. So I want to make sure I get a nice straight bore through the hole, and then I'm also going to take the opportunity to practice using the tap set and practice on some scrap pieces of metal. Then we'll come back when we're ready to actually tap these holes and get this flywheel off, which obviously hasn't been removed since it was manufactured. And I'm hoping that when we remove this, we're going to find an ignition coil that's not all cracked up. We are getting spark, but I want to make sure the components are in good condition. Otherwise, I'm going to have to think about replacing some before we move any further. So, first attempt at trying to pull this didn't go so well with the 1/4 inch bolts. Two problems. Well, the bolts themselves didn't hold very well, probably because I couldn't tap down very far because of the shallowness of the holes. So chances are these did have to be drilled out, not only a little bit wider, but also deeper. I've gone ahead and drilled all the way through the flywheel, and I know that's going to be a problem because that's going to let a spot for debris to fall down into the ignition system. So before I put this back together, I'm going to block those holes at the bottom, a little bit of epoxy paste. They can always be knocked out again. So I got one of these holes already tapped. So I'm going to do the other two, and then we're going to try and pull this again. And hopefully it'll come out, given that the bolts will be fully all the way through and the thread's completely engaged. I may even pull out the blowtorch to heat up the flywheel a bit, but I'm a little worried about that. I don't want to start melting my ignition coil on the inside. And I'm really hoping I find a completely intact ignition coil. I have tested this for spark already, and I do have spark. So I know that I still at least have some continuity in the primary and secondary coils. I don't have a spacer gauge at the moment. It's coming in the mail. So I'll be checking and cleaning the point before this all goes back together. Let's see if I've gone all the way through. Oh, still got a little ways to go. There's nothing blocking me. Feels pretty good. I'm going to do the other one. We'll come back and we'll get this flywheel off. Okay, so my holes are tapped. We're going to try and pull this flywheel one more time. Hope it works. So this is one of 3 projects I've got on the go for this winter. It's October of 2020, and we've just gone through our first pandemic summer, looking for something to keep us occupied and sane. We spent a lot of time canoeing, and we really like being out in the water, but you know, moving a canoe around was really difficult. So went and bought myself a cedar strip Geisler boat, a Weary design, and so as a second project this winter, I'll probably do some YouTube videos on that as well. Gonna do some work on that boat, and I thought it'd be nice to have a nice vintage engine to go with it. Try and make sure my bolts are level. Okay. I also have a little reliable 77 Evinrude 2 horsepower. I'm going to be overhauling as well. Carb kit, seals, gaskets. But for this Firestone, I'm trying to do a full restoration. And my compression on this cylinder block wasn't as nice as I'd like it. So one of the reasons why I'm taking this flywheel off is to be able to get the crankshaft and piston out to change the rings. Pipes. I almost need a ratchet strap to be able to hold the flywheel in place. She's on there good. There she goes. I'll get this off and I'll bring you in nice and close to see what it looks like underneath. Okay, so let's get this flywheel off, see what we're working with. Oh, that looks nice. That casing looks like it's brand new. There is an old dead spider. Get rid of that. All those filings from the drilling I gotta get cleaned up. God damn. Looks factory fresh. The coil doesn't even look like it's from like the original. If I didn't know any better, I swear this was changed out. There's no way anyone could have gotten that flywheel off unless they pried it up. But it was rusted on there good. Well, that's great. Okay, well, that's going to be it for today. Next time we're going to get this whole armature off and get the crankcase and the piston out of here. All right, take it easy.